Now can you hear me, everyone? Okay, so here I can say in this example, you need to understand constructor is triggered when object is created. Automatically, constructor is triggered as when object is created. And in print data method, we are just printing the values of variables along with a constant value. So because of that, you can see there is an output here. And moreover, I was highlighting this point. When we are disconnected, I was highlighting this one. A constant, sorry. Here I was highlighting this point. A constant we can access on object reference, as well as we can also access a constant on class name. So that's the point I was highlighting just before disconnecting. So here you can see we can access constant on object reference as well as on class name. So let us see how exactly it works. So here, instead of using like this, you can also access your variables. EMP ID, you can use directly write statement here. So that means on object we are accessing a variable. And similarly, you can use obj and employee name, you can print it. You can also use obj, then EMP salary. So you can access your constants as well as variables, general variables on object reference. So you can see there is no error. You can see it is printing those values. But here, this statement is not valid. Obj EMP salary equal to, say for example, 55,000. So this statement is invalid. You can't change the value of constant. You will get syntax error. You will get syntax error. You can see employee salary cannot be modified. But you can modify other variables. You can modify other variable values here. Something like employee ID, obj employee ID is equal to, say for example, 2001. And here you can modify these values whenever, wherever necessary. Obj, then employee name, you can modify it to, say for example, Ajay. So this is possible. But on salary you can't modify because it's a constant. You can see there is no problem. It will print the latest values. You try to write this write statement after this one. So here constructor is called on 47th line. After constructor is triggered, still we are able to modify the values of variables. You can see you will get the latest values. And not only this, say for example, I want to access a constant on class name. That is also possible. What is the class name here? EMP. So on EMP, that's a class name, you have to use equals arrow mark and EMP salary. I mean to say you can access constant on class name, so that is the indication of this one, this last line. So there is no syntax error. So there is no syntax error, it will print the value. But now, here you can see the variables whatever we have declared, these are instance variables. So instance variables can be accessed on object here. And instance variables you can't access through class name. Say for example EMP, you can't access like this. Instance variables, that is not possible. So these are the different combinations you need to remember. So you can see there is a syntax error. So it is saying some EMP is unknown. So I mean to say the variables which are instance, those cannot be accessed by using class name. This is not a possible syntax. It's not possible syntax. Even if you use equals. You can see still it is throwing an error. So on class name, this becomes okay, the syntax becomes okay whenever these variables are class variables. That means whenever these variables are instance variables, class underscore data, class hyphen data. Now these variables are become class variables. That means they are static variables. So now static variables you can access like this on class name. And moreover, here you need to remember one point. So these are the static variables. Static variables can be accessed within the constructor also. There won't be any problem. Here you can see there is no problem. Okay, these are the things you need to take care. And you can see, I told you one important point. If you want to use static constructor, you have to use class underscore constructor. So let me change those things here. Instead of constructor, you have to use class underscore constructor for declaring static constructor. And here also in method level, you have to provide method then class underscore constructor. And here you need not worry about all these things. When you are using class constructor, you need not create an object here. Directly on class name you can access. Write statement, you can use EMP, directly use like this, EMP ID. EMP is a class name, then EMP name is a variable. So as I said, you can access constant on class name, so there won't be any problem. Let me check the syntax error. Okay, so here when you are using class constructor, you try to use methods also as class hyphen methods you have to use. Class hyphen methods is for static constructor. And when you are declaring static constructor, you have to use class underscore. That is compulsory. This type of keywords we have to use. So you can see that there is no problem now. So 1000 Oasis Tech 45,000. So these values are triggered here itself. When first time class name is used, so automatically constructor is triggered and it is initializing the values of employee ID and employee name. In this program, in this step, I can say static constructor is triggered automatically. Why? Because you can see according to the definition, you can see static constructor is triggered only for first object creation or when class name is used. When class name is used first time, so automatically static constructor will be called. So that's a behavior. So in this program, when first write statement is using EMP as a class name, so static constructor will be triggered. So these are the points you need to notice. And moreover, say for example, if you want to declare, if I want to declare some methods and I want to call method inside method of same class, then we have to make use of me keyword. Me is a keyword and it is similar to WD this in WebDynPro. WD underscore this, it is similar to that. It's a self-reference. Just remember that. So let us see how to use it. So I want to declare one more method. Say for example I'm taking fetch data MD, and that method you can implement here. Fetch data MD, and you write whatever the code you want. After writing that code, you can also call, here you can see fetch data and print data, both are in same class. Fetch data and print data both are in same class. So here from fetch data method, you can call print data method by using me keyword, me, and you can call that method. Say for example, print data. You write some logic here. After writing some logic, and you can also call other methods of same class by using me keyword, print data empty. So here there is, let me check the syntax error. Fetch data is not defined. Okay, let me provide comma here. Just provide comma here. So we have added a new method. So under fetch data method, we are calling print data method of same class. So we are using me keyword. So there should not be any syntax error now. Okay, you can see it is saying that you can use a me keyword only within the instance methods. Here, what we have done, these methods are static methods. These methods are static methods. So me keyword has to be used only within the instance method. So you have to use like this. Methods, and forget about all these things. Now print data, fetch data, both are instance methods because you are using methods keyword. So in one instance method, you can call another instance method of same class. That is important here. So we can use a me keyword. So now there is no problem. So it's better you take this note also. Me keyword is used within instance methods. Just notice that point. Okay, now here the point is, whenever you are using constants, constructors, and you can see static, instance, me keyword, all these things can be applicable. Same definition, same rules are applicable even for global class. As of now, I am discussing on local class. The same things you can do it in global class. Okay, let me open that SC24. Same rules and regulations are applicable. So let me go to that SC24. And let us create one class, ZEMP class, you can create. With all default settings I am creating here. So whatever the rules and conditions I have provided in this node file, these are applicable for global class as well as local class. Remember that. So you can see this. So methods, you can declare methods like printmd, etc. But before declaring methods, I want to go to attribute section. In attribute section, you can declare variables. Say for example, employee ID, employee name. I want to make these things as instance. You can see instance is one attribute, static is another type, constant is a third type. So I'm using instance here. And I'm using public as visibility. Data type I'm using, say for example, string. And if you want to declare constant for salary, then you can use constant keyword here. You can see this, very simple. And you can use it public with some data type I'm using as int4. But here you can see, whenever you are declaring a constant, don't forget to provide initial value. That is compulsory. Otherwise, you'll get error. When you're declaring a constant in your global class or local class, whatever it may be, the fixed value must be initialized here itself. Say for example, 45,000. So don't forget this. Okay, now you can go to methods. It's the same story. You can write something like print data MD. And here you can use public visibility. And now, if you want to use constructor, if you want to use instance constructor, here you can see there is a edit and create constructor. There is an option. Constructor is nothing but instance constructor by default. And you can see there is one more option, create class constructor. That is for static constructor. Create constructor is for instance, create class constructor is for static constructor. So you can use based on your requirement. I'm using some instance constructor. Select that and double click on that constructor. Just double click on that constructor and you write the code whatever you have written in local class. Same technique you can use. This I want to use it inside constructor. And you can use your write statement. data. I'm using that statement. So this is how you need to use your instance constructor. If you want to use static constructor, it's very simple. You can use like this. Choose edit, go to class constructor. And you'll get this name, class underscore constructor, you'll get automatically. You should not disturb that. And double click on that and you write the code whatever you want for initializing the values. For initializing the values, you can write it here. And moreover, say for example, assume that there is a method like fetch data. Assume. Now, if you want to call method inside another method of same class, fetch data has to call print data. Then you can use me keyword here. You can use me keyword, something like me. Then say for example, print data empty. So there won't be any problem. It's a self-reference. Apart from me keyword, you can use other logic also. You can write any code, above statements you can use it. So there is no problem, you can see that. So these are the things you need to remember. And I want to tell you the difference here itself. Difference between method and method means normal method. Difference between normal method and constructors. You should understand this difference. So here, when you declare a method, method can have importing parameter and method can have exporting parameter, method can have returning. Long back I have discussed these things. This type of parameters you can have for methods. And you can also use changing. But when you go for constructor, that means when you go for instance constructor, instance constructor can have only importing parameter. If you want to declare a parameter, then it should be only importing. Remember that. And static constructor will not have any parameters. Remember that. It will not have any parameters. And another difference is methods are triggered explicitly. Methods are triggered explicitly, but constructors are triggered automatically when object is created. During object creation. So remember that. They are implicitly triggered. Implicitly means you need not write the code to call the constructor. So this is another difference. And here methods can have any logic. I mean say you can have any functionality. You can write any functionality. But constructors will have logic to initialize the values. Remember that. these are the things you need to remember. And moreover, destructors, it's very simple. In destructors, what we do is, destructors means it is to deinitialize the values. That means you can clear the values. Clear the values of variables and you can clear work area. These type of statements you can write in destructors. And you can clear internal table. This is for memory wise. If you want to improve the performance, then you can use destructor. Even if you are not using destructor, garbage collector will call automatically. Writing the code in destructor is not mandatory, but if you write, it will be triggered. If you don't write, server automatically triggers a garbage collector. Garbage collector also does the same job. It will clear all the values of variables, work area and internal table. Something like that. Whatever you declare, those things you can clear through destructor. And to declare destructor, you can use a keyword. Keyword is destructor. Remember that. And double click the destructor and you can write any values, any code related to clearing the values. And in global class, here you can find it, destructor. In global class, if you want to use it, you can go to edit and create destructor. So you can say destructor is created. Destructor means by default, you'll get only destructor means only you will get instance destructor. Destructor means by default it is always instance destructor. That is, we cannot have static destructor. That is not available in object-oriented programming. So remember that. So these are the points you need to take care about constants, destructors, constructors, me keyword and all these things. Today's class is very important. Just go through all these points. And last two classes and this class video file, I'll send it tomorrow because my system is ready now. But one of the video file is missing in my system. You try to adjust with that. Last two classes and today's class video files I'll send tomorrow. Is it okay? If you have any doubts, you can send a mail. I need to close this institute by early now. Okay.